Oh, we got a good one today. We've got a good one today. If you've been on X or any kind of social media, you've probably seen this story. And I'm going to use this story about Joe Biden bumbling around, walking off stage, seemingly every other day now is having an issue with that. I'm going to use that to illustrate a larger concept for us today, which is inoculation theory. What's up, Erie Fairy? Nice to see you. So let's just get everything set, and then we'll get going, making sure that we're live. I see that we are live. We're live on YouTube. Let me get the thumbnail set. We're also live on X. If you're not on X, what are you not doing? Get yourself an X account. Let's see. Okay. And we're also streaming live on Rumble, rumble.com/coffee and nuance/live. So let me get this set. Here we go. Save, and I think we're good to go. All right. Welcome to the show, everyone. It is June 19th, or some other day. What is it? Juneteenth. That's what it is. God, I knew it would come to me. Anyway, let's check and see that I've got... yeah, it looks good. We've got chat. So I'll be able to get to that. There we go. Okay, let's get to it. Shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Today we're unpacking a fascinating concept, inoculation theory. It's not the latest mandated shot from the CDC. No, it's the media's clever way of keeping us just angry enough to watch, but too numb to act. They've weaponized this psychological strategy to carry water for the permanent Washington, D.C. machine. And they're getting sneakier about it every day. Inoculation theory works by giving you a small dose of reality so you're immune to the full-blown truth. Think of it like a flu shot for your brain, if you believe in flu shots. A little bit of the virus to protect you from the real disease. It's like they're saying, here's a watered-down version of what happened, so when the real scandal breaks, you won't lose your mind. Take the Biden campaign, for example. Lately, they've been rolling out a term that sounds like it came from a bad sci-fi movie, cheap fakes. You see a video of Biden looking like he's lost in a corn maze. The White House says, cheap fakes. It's a new spin on an old trick. Inoculate the public by suggesting the gaffes. What you see with your mind, with your eyes, it's just a minor manipulated clip. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along. And it's not just Biden. Remember Hillary Clinton fainting spell at the 9/11 memorial? She dropped like a sack of potatoes, and the media rushed in with, she's just a little dehydrated. Dehydrated. I get dehydrated. Don't turn into a collapsing puppet, but by downplaying it, they inoculate us. We get a little taste of the scandal, but it's wrapped up neatly with a bow of nothing to worry about. Now, the media, folks, they're supposed to be our watchdogs, but often they're more like the establishment's lapdogs, helping distract us while the real trick happens behind the curtain. They use terms like allegedly and reportedly to give themselves an out. Allegedly is their way of saying we don't want to get sued, and reportedly, that's code for we heard this from someone who heard it from someone who heard it from someone. It's bipartisan, folks. It's not just about left or right. It's about power. The permanent Washington, D.C. machine has perfected inoculation. They give us these little doses of scandal and spin to keep us docile. They don't want us too angry or too informed. Just enough to keep watching, just enough to demand, but not enough to demand real change. Think about it. They create task force. They created a task force to combat cheap fakes. They didn't they didn't make a task force to fix the infrastructure or healthcare. No. They're worried about managing our perception than they are about solving real problems. That's like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic while telling us it's just a little ice, bro. Nothing to worry about. So next time you see a scandal, getting the soft focus treatment, remember inoculation theory. They're not just reporting the news. They're managing your outrage. They want you to be just angry enough to tune in, but too numb to take action. In the end, the media isn't just the fourth estate. They're part of the system. And this system, the truth, isn't broken. It's manipulated. My name's Tom Coffey. This is the Coffey Nuance Show. Least watched, censored, commentary news show live right now. Flame on. Yeah, so this is, I was trying to figure out what this was called, where they give like this really weak explanation for something, and now they've come up with this thing called cheap fakes, which we'll get to in just a second. But I want to talk about this idea of inoculation theory because it's Big Idea Wednesday. We talk about an idea, maybe an idea you hadn't thought about, but afterwards, hopefully, you'll have something to think about today. Inoculation theory is a psychological concept, and it suggests that exposing people to a weak-ass version of an argument helps build resistance to the stronger, more persuasive argument later on. This theory, developed by psychologist William McGuire in the 60s, is akin to how vaccines work. A small dose of a virus helps a body build immunity to the actual disease. Okay, so here are some signs for this. Forewarning, individuals are warned they will encounter opposing arguments. So we've seen this just recently. We'll get into the video here of just all of these excuses for seeing Biden just bumbling around and fumbling and walking where he's not supposed to walk, can't walk off a stage. They're covering for this by telling you a weak version of that. So they present a diluted version of the opposing argument. So they will say, oh, yeah, they claim that Biden doesn't know where he's going, but of course he knows where he's going. They'll give you a little bit of the truth that people think that they don't know where Biden's walking, just a little piece of the truth. And then they follow it up with their cover story, right? They're given counter arguments to refute the weak argument. So this process strengthens the ability to defend their beliefs against more robust attacks. So if you attack this, it's like a straw man argument. You present the argument of the people that you're opposing as being weak, ridiculous, like a straw man, easy to knock over. So media and politics use inoculation theory to manage public opinion and mitigate the impact of potential scandals. So here's a couple examples, like in political examples. In like a political scandal, when a politician faces potential scandal, their team might release a controlled narrative first, framing it in a less damaging way. For example, labeling a video showing a gaffe as a cheap fake and offering an explanation, right? Oh, what you're seeing with your own eyes, well, that's been edited, so don't believe it. That's what they're doing here. That's inoculation theory. They're giving you a little bit to cover up a lot. Corporations do this as well with PR. They may have some minor problem, So they address it in a very minimized way to control the narrative and reduce the impact that it may have on their company. Yeah, so let's get to these cheap fakes. First, I want to show you this story on CBS News. It's unbelievable that they're actually putting this out there. But let's check it out.
You've probably heard of deep fakes, but just last week, as President Biden was at the G7 summit in Italy, cheap fake clips went viral on social media and were picked up by some news outlets. Take a look at this clip, for example. It shows Biden and other world leaders watching a skydiving demonstration before the president is seen walking away and looking in another direction. Outlets claimed that he was sort of just aimlessly wandering away. The clip amassed millions of views within just a few hours, when actually if you widen out, you can see that he was talking to one of the members of the military that was participating in that demonstration.
Now, I'm just going to pause it here. Just that we saw Biden walking off, we did see the member of the military putting his parachute into the pack off to the side. It's interesting that CBS News is saying that if you pan out, everybody used the same video. Okay? Nobody panned in. The video wasn't edited and it wasn't panned in or out. All of the video, this was the video that was released by the White House. It wasn't edited. So to say that it was without showing any evidence that it was, well, that's a bit rich. All right.
So how prevalent are cheap fakes, and how big of a problem will they be in this election? Well, let's take a look with executive editor of CBS News Confirmed, Rona Tarrant, who joins us now from Studio 57 to explain. Hi, Rona. It's great to see you.
Hi.
So tell us how long cheap fakes have been around. I'm assuming they've been around since the beginning of the media, because anybody can take an image and manipulate it to make it look like it suggests something that didn't happen.
That's exactly it. It really is a case of old techniques meets new technology. So as you said, cheap fake videos, and that's videos that are edited in a really simple way. Those have been around as long as political videos have existed. So there's a few ways, for example, that people might be familiar with. One is there might be a long video and you might take a very short clip and you take out key context. Mm-hmm. Another is maybe you slow something down and it makes it sound like someone is slurring their words. Or another is you might splice several pieces together and it makes it sound like someone said something that they didn't. What's different in this election and the last two elections, in the presidential elections, is number one, everyone has access to mobile phones where they can edit. And number two, most people have social media accounts where they can publish this stuff. So it's worth saying these are not anything new. You know, when Trump was president, these targeted him as well. But what we are seeing in the last few weeks is really the steady stream of videos that are targeting President Biden, and in particular, taking aim at his age.
So that's the thing here. What we're claiming is that, boy, we've got a lot of these fake, cheap fake videos where they just edit it to make it look like it appear like Biden doesn't know what he's doing. He's wandering off. But the real issue is who's doing the editing. Okay, I'm going to show you a side-by-side, or a top and bottom, of Biden walking off the stage, or being led off the stage by Barack Obama in Hollywood over the weekend. Now, the bottom version is what the Biden campaign put out, where they edit the part where Biden looks like he freezes and doesn't know what he's doing and just is like a robot. They go to a wide shot, and then Obama comes over and leads him off. But it's the White House. It's the Democrat. It's the Biden campaign that has the edited video, not the other way around. So let's check this out. So on the bottom, that's what the Biden campaign put out. And you see, we go to a long shot here, so we don't see Biden standing there and having Barack grab him by the hand, and then it cuts back to two buddies walking off stage. So again, the bottom, the cheap fake was actually done by the Biden campaign and not the long shot, which everybody would see if they had an account on X. Here's another version of it. This is an unedited clip that CBS News is making the claim. The AP actually did a fact check on this, which they subsequently deleted. I understand why. But here's an unedited version of what's happening. They're applauding, and I turned the volume down just because there could be copyrighted music in it. But we see him just standing there, frozen. And Barack goes back, grabs him by the wrist like a little child, and puts his hand over his back there and walks him off stage. That's the unedited version. The edited version is being put out by the White House. And yet now all of the news is claiming that it's social media that does all the editing. Okay, so they've come up with this new term called a cheap fake. It refers to manipulated or misleading content, often in the form of videos or images, designed to create a false narrative or mislead viewers. Unlike sophisticated deep fakes, which use AI to create realistic but entirely fabricated content, cheap fakes typically involve simple edits or taken out of context footage that distort the truth without entirely fabricating it. The term cheap implies that these manipulations are crude and easily identifiable as false with closer examination. So here's some examples of cheap fakes in the media that the media did. Not that we're done on social media. This is what the media did. And here's some examples of the media's cheap fakes. What about the Fine People hoax? The context was following the Charlottesville protests in 2017. President Trump comments about the events were distorted by media outlets. Trump condemned violence on both sides, but also mentioned fine people on both sides in reference to those debating the removal of statues peacefully. The manipulation is media outlets and critics selectively edited Trump's remarks to suggest that he called white supremacists fine people, which is insane. By the way, they ignored his explicit condemnation of them. And Joe Biden actually said this is the reason that he ran for president. That's what he hung his hat on for getting into the presidential race against Donald Trump. And that was a cheap fake done by the media. Okay, so here's another example of the media using a cheap fake, right? Covington kid hoax. In 2019, a video circulated showing a group of Covington Catholic high school students wearing MAGA hats at the Lincoln Memorial. You remember that. Seemingly mocking a Native American activist. Well, the initial video clip went viral, portraying the students as aggressors. Later, extended footage and context revealed they were being harassed by another group before Phillips approached them. Now, the impact of this is the initial portrayal led to widespread condemnation of the students, and it fueled debates about racism and political divisiveness, despite a more nuanced reality. Another example could be the George Zimmerman 911 call edit. During the Trayvon Martin case, way back in 2012, NBC News edited George Zimmerman's 911 call to police, making it sound like he volunteered that Martin was black without being asked, suggesting racial bias. NBC News, not social media, edited the call to remove a question from the dispatcher about Martin's race, making Zimmerman's response appear more racially motivated. And the edited clip fueled accusations of racism against Zimmerman and influenced public perception of the case before the unedited call was revealed. And just to show the other side, right there, Pelosi, there was a drunk video in 2019, a video circulating on social media showed House Speaker Nancy Pelosi appearing to slur her words and act intoxicated during a speech. Now, this video was actually slowed down to create the impression that Pelosi was impaired, though she probably wasn't. The manipulated video spread widely, suggesting Pelosi was unfit for office, despite being deliberate manipulation. So, cheap fakes distort reality and can manipulate public opinion by presenting a false narrative or exaggerating minor incidents. The problem is, media outlets do this the most. Okay, that's the problem. This kind of stuff just makes things more polarized, and it deepens the division between people. So, cheap fakes might be less sophisticated than a deep fake, but the impact of the public perception is still pretty significant. And the thing is, you as the news consumer have to be aware of this, because clearly the news producers are, in my opinion, the biggest purveyors of this. Anyway, so that's the idea behind what is a cheap fake and what is inoculation theory as to what's going on. Anyway, that's kind of the story that I wanted to bring up today on this Big Idea Wednesday, Big Idea Wednesday. Can't even remember what day of the week it is, but I will go through all of your comments after the little bumper music, and I will be back on Friday for another live show. Until then, peace. So here we are. What's up, Natasha? John? Gonzo is over there on Rumble. Hashtag Coffee Gang. We got to get Coffee Gang going. That'd be good. Yeah, don't believe your lying eyes. That's pretty much it. Heard it through the grapevine journalism. That's a good turn of phrase. I like that. I have a friend with low blood pressure. I suggested watching more news to raise it back up. Well, I wish that were the case. I have low blood pressure, and news doesn't seem to do anything for raising it for me. The clip of Biden's most recent speech where he freezes up and starts mumbling is alarming. Something's really wrong with him, says Harewood Stephen. Yeah, it's getting harder and harder to hide, but the media is jumping in and just telling you, don't believe your lying eyes. This is all edited. Somehow they're able to edit video to make Joe Biden look like he is mumbling and doesn't know where he is and is wandering off stage. And just because we see it almost every single day, the media is telling you, don't believe what you see with your eyes. That's what they're doing. Joe Lyman says the powerful thing about the cheap fake label is that they are identifying something that we have all seen on both sides. They're applying it to where it doesn't really work. It allows people the leeway. I agree, to turn off their brains and critically examine the evidence. That's kind of like last week when I was saying that, that's been debunked, right? You just say something's been debunked, and then people don't have to actually look at it. They go, oh, Snopes debunked it. PolitiFact debunked it. They said it's debunked, so I guess it's not real. It's going to be tough to fake it at the debate if that happens. You still think Biden's going to be the nominee in November? Come on. Yeah. It says the evidence in this example is that there are a couple camera angles, zooms, and you can pick and choose which ones of the event you want to watch. If you watch a far out zoom during his moment and then zoom in after he regains composure, you end up with a potentially different interpretation. That's exactly what the Biden campaign did. They went to a long shot when he looked like he was playing the part of a scarecrow. Lack of arm swing while walking is a sign of dementia. Could be. They deleted the fact check. Yeah, at least the AP did. The AP did a story saying it was fake, and then I think they got so much pushback they deleted it. I didn't get a screenshot before it was deleted. I wasn't even going to talk about this story because the main point is I just wanted to talk about an idea today, and this just worked in with the idea of inoculation theory. And again, that's where they tell you a little bit that's true. That way you don't believe the whole thing. There's also directional arrows on the floor of the video of Obama walking Biden off the stage. That's not common. Well, it's probably a good thing to do, right? If you have a bumbling old man who doesn't know where to walk, putting big arrows on the floor might be a help. So I don't blame them for doing that. Have you seen the one where he's at a worship service surrounded and singing by clapping black folks and he's frozen in place? Yeah, I've seen that too. And again, a lot of this I just think is elder abuse. I mean, I could just put up videos all day long of Biden being a zombie. I don't know. I that wasn't the main thing I wanted to talk about. But yeah, it's really sad. Guess there was a purpose for their fact checking other than the truth. Yeah. I never heard of the term cheap fakes until a few days ago. Yeah, it's a brand new term as far as I can tell. I thought it was a way, originally when I heard Cringe Jean-Pierre, the president's press secretary, when she was using it, I thought that this is a clever way of kind of implying that it's a deep fake. That was my original take on it, was that by calling it a cheap fake, cheap rhymes with deep. They're trying to get you to associate it with AI. That was my initial take. But now it looks like this is just a tactic where they're saying, there was a spliced video, so you shouldn't believe it. Even though that's what the news does all the time. All they do is edit video to show you a short clip. And depending on the clip they choose, that's what really puts it into context. That was the reason Biden ran for president. Yeah, the Charlottesville Fine People hoax. That is what he said the day that he announced. He said that he was watching Trump talk about Charlottesville. And when Trump said that there were fine people on both sides, that was for him the moment that he knew he had to run for president. That was his initial charge. Now, again, that was a cheap fake, and it was done by the media. Right? You can watch that video, and you can see that it's the opposite of the way that it has been presented for all these years. And yet, probably most people on the left still believe that hoax created by the media. And now we're calling that a cheap fake. Cheap fakes are fake news. That's very true. We're living in an era where they're not discussing Biden's obvious signs of dementia. It's about the authenticity of the video. Unbelievable. It is unbelievable. And the thing is, I don't think this is helping the Democrats. I think the trust in the media, they're destroying all trust in the media for this. I would actually love it. I would go if you were near your congressperson or your senator, I would like to get everybody on the record that Joe Biden doesn't have dementia. Just to have. It reminds me, because clearly he does. It reminds me back when Reagan was showing signs of near the end of his second term. There were a lot of signs, and there wasn't as much media back then. We didn't have social media. We didn't, so we weren't sharing all of this information. It was much harder to share it. But there were signs that there was issues with Ronald Reagan when he was president, that he also maybe have been suffering from some mental deficiencies near the end there. And I just remember, again, to suggest that you were crazy, right? You were crazy to suggest that. That's a conspiracy theory. It's what's happening in front of our very eyes. Tom, you got to see the clip of Biden's most recent speech where he just freezes up and starts mumbling. It's unbelievable. The problem is, and I have seen that speech. The problem is like, I feel like if I played it, I think some people would say, that's not real. That's not real. Tom, you're lying to me. And like, that's how bad it looks. It looks so bad, I don't even want to play it because it looks fake. It looks fake. That's how bad these videos are of him. They want to keep Biden so they have an excuse when they finally notice that the country is trashed. Yeah, I think he's going to be the fall guy for a lot of this stuff. We can just blame it all on Biden and switch over to a different Democrat, right? I think that's the plan. Anyway, that's all I have for us today. And on Friday, hopefully, if we get enough people watching live, I'll be able to jump in and give one of these live reads where I could make 12 cents per viewer. That would be fantastic. So if I had a couple more people watching on X, man, I could make $1.32. But we don't have that right now. That's okay. I guess I don't need that $1.32. But I hope you all have a fantastic Wednesday. I know it's going to be a hot one here in Portland. It's going to be like, I don't know, 86 or something like that. It's going to be a hot one, but that's okay. I got my Aloha shirt, and I think I'll go to a car show or something fun. And get out there and enjoy the great weather. I'll see you all on Friday. Have a good one. Peace.